Meanwhile, let's talk about this, a bombshell decision from a Colorado court ruling that former President Donald Trump is banned from the state's primary election ballot. This is all due to his role in the January 6th insurrection.
Robert Moses keeping an eye on things, the ruling and its potential impact for the race for the White House. What's going on, Robert?
Rosanna and Bianca, this has the potential, I say, to upend the race for the White House. In a fundraising email, Donald Trump's campaign called this ruling, quote, tyrannical. It was a 4-3 decision, and yes, the justices kicked the former president off the state's presidential primary ballot because of his role in the January 6th attack.
Waterloo, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
At a rally last night in Iowa, former President Donald Trump made no explicit mention of an extraordinary ruling the Colorado Supreme Court had just handed down. A majority of the court holds that President Trump is disqualified from holding the office of president under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. The justices said because he is disqualified, it would be a wrongful act under the election code for the Colorado Secretary of State to list him as a candidate on the presidential primary ballot. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment bars people who engage in insurrection or rebellion from holding office. The court found the former president did exactly that in the lead up to the attack on the Capitol on January 6, 2021. A spokesman promised that the campaign will file an appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court and accused the Colorado justices, all of whom were appointed by Democratic governors, of supporting a, quote, scheme to interfere in an election on behalf of crooked Joe Biden by removing President Trump's name from the ballot and eliminating the rights of Colorado voters to vote for the candidate of their choice. The court put its ruling on hold until January 4th, or until the Supreme Court rules. Time is of the essence since January 5th is the deadline for Colorado to print its presidential primary ballots.
The U.S. Supreme Court may choose to review, and I will follow whatever court order or decision is in place by the time of certification.
Yesterday's ruling only applies to Colorado, but if the U.S. Supreme Court decides to take the case, which legal experts say is a near certainty considering the gravity of this issue, it could weigh in on whether the former president is a qualified candidate in all 50 states. Even before any Supreme Court decision, Basil Smikle, the former executive director of the New York State Democratic Party, says the Colorado ruling could have huge ramifications.
The danger for Donald Trump is that this opens the door for so many other states to be able to say, well, you know what, let's take a look and see whether or not we could get this done as well.
Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, one of the former president's most vocal Republican critics, actually took his side on the Colorado Supreme Court's ruling.
I do not believe Donald Trump should be prevented from being president of the United States by any court. I think he should be prevented from being president of the United States by the voters of this country.
A New York Times Siena College poll found that former President Trump leads President Joe Biden by 2 percentage points among registered voters. But if we look now at likely voters, President Biden leads the former president by 2 percentage points, all of which is to say this race remains very tight. And Rosanna and Bianca, keep in mind, the former president appointed 3 members of the Supreme Court, so he's counting on them to side with him if, in fact, the court takes up this case. Back to you.
All right, Robert, thanks so much for the update.